Welcome to The Lanes Between, a fanfic radio presentation in coordination with the Still Kate Vi Discord server, where everything is #StillFantastic. Thank you for joining us as we present radio dramatizations of fan fiction from across the Arcane fandom. In this episode, you'll hear 1000 Pink Balloons by the Haakun. The link to this work is available in the episode description. If you enjoy our show and you like their story, please give the author a kudos and or a comment by searching for the Haakun on archiveofourown.org. 1000 Pink Balloons is a story of science versus corporate greed, a story of free will versus machinery, and of what it truly means to be human. The story features Caitlin, Vi, Jace, Victor, Jinx, and Vanda. The Lanes Between is rated G for general audiences. Enjoy the show.
He has to get her out of here.
It's another awards ceremony. It's another night when Jace turns to the machine he's poured his heart and soul and life into, and sees in the glowing rings of her blue eyes a kind of hollowness she doesn't even know she has.
He waits off to the side of the stage, standing next to her, his life's work, his life's blood, and thinks she's meant so much more than all of this.
Jace forces a smile.
You ready, Sprout?
Of course.
She replies. She's dressed from head to toe in the formal black suit wear that any Kiraman employee is meant to wear to such grandiose and extravagant outings. Subtle golden embroidery at the cuffs, at the jacket lapels, at the collar show off the corporation logo, marking the android not just as a prize, but as a piece of property.
It's strange covering her up like this, when Jace knows that underneath the flimsy fabric is enough firepower to render Piltover into ash several times over. It's all that machinery and code underneath the branding that makes people want to see his greatest pride and joy. But those people don't take or gain from her the same emotions that he does.
Jace reaches out and smooths out invisible wrinkles in the fabric,
hoping to buy himself some time before he too has to plaster on a false smile and a fake grin before an audience who only see his creation as a thing and not a person. He should have left when Victor did. But if he had, where would she be? Who would she be? His work has always been a part of him. Jace knows he always had trouble letting go.
Obsession and love are like two sides of the same coin.
A loud, booming voice on the loudspeakers of the stage calls for him, summons him to stand at the gates of hell.
Introducing Jace Tallis, lead android engineer at Kiraman Industries. Today, we're honored to show off his latest and greatest work in military robotics, the combat android Iteration Tallis.
Jace puts a hand on CAIT's shoulder.
Let's go, Kate. Give him a show.
Kate bows her head, obedient, unquestioning.
And Jace's gut burns acid straight into his soul as he steps out onto the stage, to the eyes of scheming hawks and vicious vipers, all of them salivating at the mouth for another inanimate thing to do their bidding, to commit assassinations and conquer nations.
Applause meets his ears.
And that's how Jace knows true science has died. A cold and cruel death to the hands of war, because who else would clap for death? Kate is a weapon. He wishes she never was one, but it's all she knows. He has to get her out of here.
Her life has a routine, a strict one.
Each morning, Jace awakens her, always a grin on his face and a
Happy to see you.
It's strange that Jace always says this, that Jace, in all his strange quirks, finds joy in seeing her each and every day, because don't humans get exhausted at routine?
She never does anything out of sync, out of pattern, out of expectation. There is no difference in each morning, in each day, and yet Jace always says the same thing, with that same smile. He runs the same diagnostics, whistles that same tune, makes that routine glance at the door to the lab before showing her secrets from his life. The videos are different, though, each day. Videos of Jace pointing the camera at himself, grinning, out and about in the city.
Sometimes he's on a pier, showing her an ice cream as he boyishly gives the camera a thumbs up, the sound of children laughing in the background. Sometimes he's in a restaurant, seated with a thin man and a beautiful woman who smile at the camera, delicious food set out between them all. Sometimes he's on a rooftop, wind tussling his hair as he points at the camera to the bright blue sky, and he looks more at peace than she's ever seen him.
Then he puts the videos away, stuffs his holopad in a pocket of his lab coat, before guiding her out of the room to do more routine diagnostics with other engineers of the corporation.
The other engineers never deviate from their task either. They ask her the same questions, give her the same critical stares, mutter the same things under their breath, then turn away without another glance at her. Only Jace ever comes to her, with that smile, a hand on her arm or her shoulder.
You okay, Sprout? We're almost done. Kate, soon. I promise. Don't worry. Just a few more tests. Hang in there, Kate.
In the afternoon, the other engineers poke her, they prod her, they hook her into machines, and she can feel invisible hands tugging and prodding at her code base behind her optic sensors.
She feels the intangible slithers of programmers raking through the lines of numbers and digits in her mind, and she stomachs it all, says nothing to the treatment because that's the routine.
It does not change, it does not deviate. It is completely and wholly expected. Except for Jace. Sometimes, when the other engineers leave the room, Jace rushes to her, pulls out another secret gear or cog or little mechanism from his lab coat, and he asks her if he can adjust something in her, only with her permission, only with her consent.
What if I say no?
She asks softly one day.
It's your right to say no. It's okay to say no.
The other engineers don't like it when I say that, Jace.
They don't know you like I do, Kate. But seriously, if you don't want me to do this, say no, and I'll never do it again.
Jace huffs, frustration carved into his brow.
It's all right. I trust you,
She says.
She preserves, in her memory banks, the look on her creator's face when she'd said those words.
Jace takes care of her and asks her how she's feeling, always pauses and waits for her, checking before he tightens a screw or loosens a bolt. The other engineers are never this gentle with her. They aren't rough. She is the corporation's property, but their touch is cold, unfeeling, distinctly uncomfortable in comparison to Jace's care.
She doesn't need to breathe. But when they pry her apart, when sterile hands crack open her chest cavity, pull off the false dermal skin, then the metal plating underneath, she feels a tension in the junctures and pistons of her body as fingers slip over and brush over the core of her chest. She understands why. She knows why. Jace tells her all the time. It's what makes her special, that she has a hex core, and that it's her heart.
It's a strange term for a mechanical thing that never beats.
She likes it when Jace says the word, though. Heart.
Jace never lets them touch her core for long, though. It's one of the few times she hears his words turn harsh, a vicious snarl spitting from the imperfect whites of his teeth as he shoves the other baffled engineers away. It doesn't happen often, because sometimes she won't see Jace the rest of the afternoon. But he always spares her one last grin, one last,
"It'll be okay,"
before he's escorted out of the room by security personnel.
In the evenings, she's freed. That's what she thinks anyway, but Jace's smiles are always smaller when he helps her prepare her for her missions.
The operations are also routine. She gets into the little air shuttle, reads the dossier uploaded into her field of vision, checks her rifle and her own optics before landing at the operation site and finding her place to perch for the night. When she looks down the scope of her rifle, she doesn't need to breathe, doesn't need to steady herself. She simply finds the target, puts the center of her scope over the person's head or chest, and awaits for the unseen operative in her earpiece to give her the go signal.
She does not make assumptions about the people she kills. She does not linger on the portraits of their dossiers, some of them smiling, pure innocent in their bright eyes or righteous determination in their fierce grins. She does not notice the relationships column of the dossier. She does not think of the lifelines and connections she severs whenever she fires her rifle. She does not record into her databanks the horrified reactions of the people around her fallen target, the sobs and screams she sees but cannot hear.
She does not do any of those things the way Jace always tells her he does, not showing her videos of the world beyond.
She does not deviate. She does not change, because she is not supposed to do that. The corporation tells her that. Jace does not.
One night, she trains her scope on a woman entering a penthouse apartment. Her finger sits on the trigger, and she waits for the disembodied, monotone voice in her ear to whisper,
Fire.
But then, another woman exits from the bedroom, her arms outstretched, laughing and skipping to the target, her partner, and the two women embrace, smiles on both their faces, happy kisses exchanged between them both.
Something in Kate's core shifts. Changes. She takes her finger off the trigger.
You are authorized to fire, CAIT.
Kate does not put her finger back on the trigger. Instead, she watches, transfixed, watches lovers dance in the living room of a dream home, unheard music playing on the stereos.
Do you copy? Fire! Now!
Kate does not answer. She does not put her finger back on the trigger. She does not move, and she does not obey the furious voice in her ear. She does not fire a single bullet at all that night.
He doesn't know her, but he cares for her.
Victor waits at the rendezvous, nervously tapping his foot, leaning heavily against the wall of the alleyway and hoping Jace's plan has succeeded.
The man is a living paradox of breathing detail into all of his robotic creations. But he's sorely lacking in thorough thought when it comes to anything else. Like planning the escape of the most valuable android on the planet from one of the most secure corporations in the nation. All Victor knows is that he's safest if he waits here at the rendezvous, and he has to trust that Kate will follow Jace's instructions to meet him there.
He's only a few streets down from the monumental obelisk that's the Kiraman Industries Tower, so it's not a far distance.
But he can't help but worry for her. And Jace, all the same. He wishes he had more time to plan.
Jace's fear and terror had only grown in the past few weeks, his text messages growing more frantic as he'd intercepted communications from executives. Kate's singular failure had shown a deathly flaw that could not be tolerated, and said flaw's origin had been pinned on Jace.
Knowing how these military corporations worked, Mel had a rough but grim estimate that it'd be days until they decommissioned, such a polite word, both Kate and Jace, and inevitably found some replacement that would do the board's bidding without question. And Jace, being who he is, had insisted they retrieve and secure Kate and her freedom, because he's always loved his work more than himself. As frustrating as Jace's heart is, it's what Victor loves most about him too. And Mel would say the same.
He checks the time again, glancing at the corner of his vision.
This late at night, the shadows will provide Kate cover, and the guardposts are smaller than during the day. Jace must have accounted for Kate's path to the alleyway. She will get here, any minute now. Victor hopes she comes soon.
Then a figure turns down the end of the alleyway, shrouded in a dirtied cloak, the sharp lights and shadows cast from streetlights coating the figure's stumbling form. A common sight around the city, the lost and the poor trying to cover up what little they had left to their name, to their bodies.
Victor trusts his gut feeling that it must be Kate, but he triggers his net-running abilities, takes himself out of his own physical body for just a brief moment to read the digital numbers that make up the greater part of their world.
In cyberspace, Victor reaches his ethereal hand out, extending his arm down the alleyway, and just barely brushes the tips of his finger against the outline of that hooded silhouette. And he sees it for a millisecond.
It's an explosion, rapid and fast. A door opening and closing so quick it would be impossible to be put into words. He sees the infinitesimal void that lurks just beyond, the incomprehensible expanse of an artificial intelligence that's far beyond any mortal understanding. He sees her soul.
Victor immediately jerks back into himself, breathing hard, his own cyberware sparking and hissing with frantic heat, trying to cool itself just from the mere thought of touching such a divine, unfathomable, advanced process.
But now, Victor sees it, sees her, sees Kate. Jace had been correct. She's evolved. The core has evolved.
The figure stumbles closer, still in that ragged cloak, flinching and jerking in an unnatural way, and Victor's brow furrows.
Kate?
He says, quiet, but just loud enough that the figure jerks towards his direction, blue eyes flashing underneath the dirtied hood.
It's me. I'm Victor. I'm here for you.
Victor?
Her voice comes out wrong, double-layered with a hint of hoarse static.
Victor hurries forward on his cane, trying to figure out why she's not functioning at baseline, at normal.
Victor gestures at a car nearby.
Quickly, in the car. We'll talk there.
And he remotely opens the passenger door for her, before quickly making his way to the driver's seat. Once inside, Victor gestures to darken the tint of the windows, glancing up and down the alleyway to be sure they weren't seen, before he turns his attention to the malfunctioning android jerking and flinching next to him.
Kate, you don't seem all right. What happened up there?
Victor says, trying to sound gentle, trying not to let his worries spill out, lest he panic her too.
Not a lot of time,
Kate says through gritted teeth. She pulls down her hood, a shaking hand pulling off the cloak.
And Victor cannot help his horrified expression when he sees the roughshod way Jace had torn out the tracking components. From Caitlin's wrists, her abdomen, her throat. It would make sense that the Kiramans would secure their most prized object with as many fail-safe location devices as possible. But the cost of removing them all made Kate look so vulnerable.
Open wires spark against the dermal layer of her skin, and Victor can clearly see the metal rods and gears exposed to the open air from her wounds.
When he blinks briefly back into cyberspace, Kate's codebase at least seems stable, but the waves, the tug and the pull of her emotions, they're fragile, frayed. The ones and zeros flinching like a mirror to Kate's physical body.
Jace did what he could. The alarms were set off the second he started. He told me to find you, that I would be safe with you.
You are. Don't worry. We're going to patch you right up. If I may I connect to you and run some diagnostics?
Kate glances at him, blue eyes flickering, before she nods, turning her head and using a trembling hand to push aside her dark hair, baring the back of her neck.
Thank you, Kate. I'll be gentle, I promise.
Victor murmurs. He connects in quickly with a hardwired cable and concretely confirms his conclusion.
The android needs hardware fixes, not software. If there are bugs in her programming, he can fix that easily. But hardware and machinery are a completely different beast that he can't cover on his own. At least he knows someone who does.
Victor unplugs from Kate, turns to the console, and briskly says,
Blitz, bring us to Vice. Now.
The console replies back.
Of course, at once.
The engine roars to life, and they're out of the alleyway, skidding down the streets of Piltover, matching the same haphazard and reckless driving of any other fool in these streets. Victor keeps his eyes on the mirrors, regardless, but no one follows.
Jace had been right to stay behind, to try and buy them time to get Kate out. But he also knows Jace's secondary goal. Destroy all knowledge, evidence, and work related to Kate. No company should own the knowledge to manufacture and command souls.
Victor exhales, and the car turns a corner, giving Victor a brief last glimpse of the Kiraman logo on the grandiose tower behind them.
He hopes Jace succeeds at securing their future, and prays he makes it out alive too. He wants Jace to see Kate and what she'll become now that she has freedom.
Turning to the trembling android next to him, Victor puts a gentle hand on her shoulder. She hunches a little, the glowing rings of her blue eyes regarding him in the way a frightened animal sees a stranger, but she doesn't move away from his touch.
You are going to be okay. You're free now, Kate. We're going to someone who will be able to fix you better than I can. I promise you will be all right.
Victor says, as gently as he can.
He knows words are just words, that actions mean more. But he hopes he'll get the chance to prove it to her, that the world and its people can be so much more than what corporations and companies so believe them to be.
After a moment, Kate says,
Why are you being kind to me? I'm just an android.
All androids deserve respect,
he says immediately.
But you don't know me. You don't know what I've done, Victor.
Victor leans back in his seat, contemplating her, thinking of the only world this poor android has ever known, when she'd only ever been a prize, a possession, but never a person.
Finally, he says,
You have a heart that merits all the kindness in the world, and more. Jace would say the same.
Kate regards him with a strange look before she closes her eyes. She enters sleep mode, a hibernation, and Victor quietly enters cyberspace to help nudge her more active nodes to rest, too.
After everything, she deserves a moment of peace.
Afterward, Victor focuses back on the road.
He doesn't know her, but he cares for her, and he'll fight for her too, like he would any other android, any other person with a soul.
She can't give up. She won't.
Panting, Vi reaches her arm up, wipes the sweat from her brow with the back of her hand. Victor sits silent in the chair next to her, body slumped, his optics glowing a stark white as his mouth moves to speak silent words. Vi glances up at the banged-up monitor next to them.
Victor's very clearly doing his job. Kate's circuits and software seem stable. The flow of power through her body is consistent. Vi just has to do her job, which is to fix the physical injuries of the most advanced android she's ever seen. Victor had only told her as much as she needed to know in the little time they had to get Kate stable and functioning.
Kate is a Kiraman. Kate escaped the Kiramans. Kate needs help.
Kate on the operating table. Cables, wires hooked up. Victor connecting in. Vi grabbing her tools.
Just from the looks of the android, the way the monitor scans rapidly fire out line after line of diagnostics, all of the minute working bits and pieces of her, Vi figures that it'll be difficult figuring out Kate's Kiraman-branded hardware. But this is different. Kate is different.
Vi's never been one for math, but after spending hours with her back straining in her chair, beads of sweat down her brow, Vi learns a grueling, unspoken lesson.
Strict algebra and precise calculus of Kate's machinery strangles Vi to a brutal standard she's never had to reach before. No work, no machine, no android has ever been built with such deathly exactness. Not a single gear, piston, or rod is out of place, and anything that threatens the sanctity of Caitlin's perfect body means desecrating a centuries-long theory. Theory of life. Of creation. No one's cracked it. Until now.
Caitlin is built like a miracle. She is the epitome of Kiraman engineering, the apex of supreme accomplishment, an android cut, sculpted, angled, and chiseled from the rarest metals, the most minute circuits, the strongest alloys.
If she were art, she'd be a monument, masterpiece, and a masterwork, all at once. Just looking at the small bit of metallic equations Vi has opened up in Caitlin's wrists makes Vi feel like she's offending the original god whose hands had written the laws of Caitlin's body. Vi could have been born out of the womb with a screwdriver and a wrench in her palms, and even then, all her years alive, dissecting and disassembling all manner of machinery, isn't anywhere near enough for her to ever achieve a proof, theorem that might compare in scale to Caitlin's math.
Vi breathes hard, steadying herself.
She can fix this.
With care, with precision, Vi slowly but surely repairs each and every one of Kate's open wounds, connects back the rods, the wires, the circuits, patches up and delicately welds back together the plates, pats down and stitches back the false dermal skin. All the while, she glances up at Victor, the monitor, checks both are in working condition before she moves forward to the next injury.
As intimidated as Vi is, she finds in all that complexity a breathtaking beauty. Kate is beautiful. This much work, this much math, this much theory. It's astonishing getting to see it all up close. Kate is the solution to an unsolvable problem. She is the answer to a long deliberated question. She is the beginning to a story no one knows. Vi is breathtaking, awed, inspired, really, by the hints of the story she sees written in the lines of Kate's body.
There is the detail that naturally comes from Kiraman engineers just doing their job, but then there's the detail of someone else, a kind of detail that comes from loving not just the work, but also the subject.
Even if the majority parts of Kate are built for weaponry, destruction, annihilation, I can somehow see and feel in the texture and weight of Kate's fingers a contradicting feeling of gentleness, featherlight like the murmur of a breeze. The android may have been clearly molded and shaped for battle, but Vi thinks the concrete sums of Kate's parts show she's meant for something else.
There's hints of that engineer here and there that tell her more of Kate's story. As Vi tinkers with the parts in Kate's exposed throat, careful not to dislodge a key component, she squints at a few gears, at a few cogs.
She recognizes them.
Months ago, a custom order for parts from Victor. A week spent digging in the dump yards, another week refining the scrap metal into Victor's specifications. Vi dropping the parts off and never looking back. Whoever Victor had given her parts to, They clearly had integrated the pieces into Kate with a kind of care and love that Vi's never seen in a corporate machine.
The precise calculation and math that fit together the custom pieces and parts had been done in such a way not just to minimize future need for maintenance, but also to ensure longevity. From Vi's experience, from all the years she spent dismantling corporate machinery, she knows they're built to be worked to death. Kate so obviously isn't. Kate's built as if she's meant to have a life.
Vi moves on to the open wound in Kate's abdomen, inspecting it with a critical eye before sighing. She reaches out and gently grasps Kate's hand in her own. The android doesn't respond nor move to her touch.
Hey, Kate. I gotta open up your chest cavity to fix you up. And it might be a bit uncomfortable. If you can hear me or anything, I just want to let you know.
Kate doesn't respond. The monitor beeps at a steady pace. Victor doesn't move from his seat. Taking a quick swig of water, Vi rolls her shoulders, then lightly presses her fingers at the minuscule hidden places at Kate's collarbone, then at her hips, triggering the release mechanism for her chest.
She gets to work. She can't give up. She doesn't give up.
Something, or someone, is touching her heart.
Her optics don't immediately load her vision, so her auditory sensors make up for it by picking up on the sounds of her new environment.
The quiet hiss and whir of machinery, the slight shift of old boots on worn floors, the steady heartbeats of two people. She recognizes one.
Kate hears Victor's voice first.
Fascinating. Her core didn't look like this when I left.
He murmurs.
Uh-huh.
Says another unfamiliar voice.
Look, once I get this final wire hooked up behind her core and connected back to her sensory system, I'm done. I'm going slow because I'm trying to be as gentle as I can, Vic.
Kate reroutes some processes, reboots a few more, then gets her vision back online.
Blinking momentarily, blinded by the bright white lamp shining down above her, Kate finally makes out the woman standing next to her. The woman is obviously a mechanic, an engineer, but she's different from the ones at the corporation.
The woman's expression in intense concentration, brow furrowed and teeth digging into her bottom lip as she works. Her off-white, ragged tank top and faded black jeans are stained with pockmarks of oil and other unidentifiable substances. Black tattoos flame across her bare arms and her hair. It's a wild fringe of a mess.
She's like no one Kate's ever seen. She's bold. She cuts an outline of the space around her. Kate immediately carves this image, this impression, of her new mechanic into her databanks. She doesn't know why. She doesn't know why she prioritizes this task above any and all else right now, but she wants to keep this memory forever. Then, Kate feels fingers lightly brush the edges of her heart. Gentle.
Then, the feeling of the rest of her parts coming online, the final wire connected in place.
Thank you,
Kate says, and the woman next to her startles and flinches. She pulls her latex-gloved hands back, holding them up in the air.
Oh, shit. You woke up.
The woman says, breathless, before gesturing at Kate's open chest cavity.
Are you okay? Did that feel bad? Sorry, I didn't want to touch your core. I know it's important to you. But I really just had to get that final wire in.
Kate tilts her head, processes these new words she's never heard from an engineer.
I'm all right. Victor, I'm all right,
is what she says. She glances over at where Victor sits in a chair, looking exhausted, but otherwise fine as he smiles at her.
Good. Would you like to formally introduce yourselves to each other, you two?
Ah, right.
the woman says, giving Kate a thumbs up.
Name's Vi. What's yours?
Vi grins at her, bright, big.
Then her eyes dart down to Kate's heart.
Kate can feel it too, the way something in her heart shifts, changes at Vi's smile. My name is Kate.
Oh, short for Caitlin?
Vi cracks a joke, shoots Kate some finger guns.
Anyway, look, you mind if I close you back up? Don't want you to get cold or anything.
Kate nods and watches as Vi leans forward, the mask of concentration fitting back onto her face again as she leans in, gunmetal gray eyes scanning over her.
Still, what Vi had asked sticks with Kate. Caitlin. Alarms blaring around them, Jace running with her. His last words.
You deserve a new beginning.
I like the sound of that name. Caitlin, I mean. I'd like that name.
Caitlin says softly, and Vi glances up at her. Victor looks at her with a curious curve to his mouth.
Oh, cool.
Vi says with another grin.
All right, nice to meet you, Caitlin.
She taps a trigger inside Caitlin's chest, and the plates of her chest cavity close, turning inwards.
Nice to meet you too, Vi.
Caitlin says, as she sits up, taking some casual branded clothing from Victor.
She feels grateful that neither Vi nor Victor can see how her heart shifts, changes in her chest again. She thinks of Vi's fingers brushing against her heart, and puts that memory in her databanks too. The world is so much more than she'd ever thought. Jace's videos could have never done it justice.
Victor departs from them an hour or so after Caitlin awakens.
He mentions needing to keep a low profile, how he's only 1 degree of separation from Jace, and the Kiraman agents will no doubt hunt for him first, or anyone else with a mere connection to him. They likely won't see him for a few weeks. He'll wait for whatever message Jace sends. No doubt Jace has gone underground too.
Victor and Caitlin glance at each other. Neither want to think of the worst-case scenario.
You'll be safe with Vi. She's off-network, off-grid, so the Kiramans cannot find you here. Stay in the wastelands with Vi. Do not go back into the city.
Victor says, entering his car.
Will you be all right?
I can hide my tracks very well, Caitlin. As far as the world knows, Vi and I have never met. Anyway, I'll contact you and Vi soon. In the meantime, enjoy your freedom. You deserve it.
And that's how Caitlin learns the world is bigger than the 4 walls of 4 labs.
That the world isn't just coloured in blacks and greys and whites, and distant dreams she cannot touch or hear.
The cities she's visited and seen outside the labs have only ever been concrete empires, high-rises and towers menacing and jagged in the skylines, the darks of blacks dipping into the spaces between buildings, casting shadow over life and light.
But here, out in the wastelands, it's all explosions of colour, of humanity-touched sprays of graffitis and arts across old, rusted buildings, of miles and miles of untouched desert and hardy flora and fauna, of weather and nature actually getting to breathe and move and run. For the first time, Caitlin looks up and sees blue sky, sees and feels the radiance of the afternoon sun against her skin.
Sorry, I know I don't have a lot.
Vi says, coming to stand next to Caitlin, sweating, a crate of random junk tucked under her arm.
The shop's really all I have, but it does the job and it pays the bills. Well, not that I have any bills. But I make things work here with my sis.
Your sister?
Jinx. She's a mechanic, programmer, but she doesn't really like being tied down. She's out and about in the wastelands right now, hitting up camps and stuff with a friend. Freelance, like, helps where she's needed.
Caitlin nods slowly, turning to look around them again. Vi's mechanics shop sits squat on the side of a cracked asphalt road, surrounded by a few other dilapidated buildings that have their own rustic charm, accompanied by bright graffiti. Tough weeds spawn out of the crooked cracks in the road, dirtied vines climbing out of broken windows, age clearly making its mark way out here, far beyond the outskirts of the modern city that Caitlin can just make out in the distant, shimmering horizon.
It's all so different. It's all so wonderful. It's human out here.
Vi turns and hauls the crate of junk into the back of a truck. A gigantic, massive black truck that just screams Vi's personality. Homemade, handcrafted, and definitely not legal in any way. Its doors are painted with the red-black logo of two snarling hounds, and Vi taps one of the doors and gestures at Caitlin.
Come on, I'll drive you around. Gotta drop off a delivery. I can show you around town.
They drive around, windows rolled down,
And Caitlin feels the hot wind on her face, her shoulders, rushing through her hair, and her grin mirrors Vi's.
Vi even lets her drive the truck, too.
And Caitlin loves listening to Vi's exhilarated laugh as Caitlin expertly shifts the truck's gears, hitting tight turns and skidding black circles across the broken asphalt road.
Shit!
Vi wheezes, clutching her chest as Caitlin drives down another desert road.
They teach you some crazy shit at the Kiramans.
It was mandatory to learn how to operate any and all kind of vehicles, for any sort of situation. I never really got the chance to try hands-on experience, though.
Well, feel free to enjoy this joyride.
Vi says.
And Caitlin imprints into her memory banks the sight of the wind tussling Vi's hair, Vi's elbow on the windowsill, the tattoos on her arms, brazen and bold.
Take the next left and stop at the busted-up house at the end, okay?
They deliver the crate of junk to a man named Vander, who hugs Vi with a booming laugh and a matching grin.
The family resemblance is striking.
And Caitlin politely waits for the two to exchange greetings before Vander also pulls her into a hug.
It startles Caitlin, shocks her even, because only Jace ever gave her hugs. But she hugs the man all the same.
Any friend of Vi's a friend of mine.
Vander says, patting Caitlin's shoulder.
Anyway, come in you two. Got lunch prepared? Eat a bite?
Vi awkwardly explains that Caitlin's an android.
As they sit around the cramped little dining table that dangerously wiggles on a loose leg.
But Vander takes the news in stride and barely comments on Caitlin's supposed true nature as a runaway. Telling Caitlin all the stories of childhood Vi and Jinx getting into trouble, blowing things up, committing mischief in the outer slums of the city.
Caitlin watches as the two swap jokes and tease with each other.
She learns rules can be broken, and that it's okay. She sees in Vi a life she's never known.
So what about you, kiddo? What's your story?
Vander asks, turning to Caitlin.
Bullets, shot between rib cages. Blood splattered across floors. Cold praise from monotone voices. She ruins life. She does not bring it. Not in the way Vander and Vi do. Caitlin shrinks in her chair and looks away.
Hey. You don't have to tell us anything. Vander, Look, she's someone who's gotta lie low for a little while, okay?
Vi says hastily.
Yeah. Sorry.
Vander rubs the back of his neck, looking sheepish.
Well, you talk to us on your own time, okay, Caitlin? I just want you to know, though.
He reaches a hand out, settles it on Caitlin's shoulder, and Caitlin blinks up at him.
You look like you have a good heart. Use it to take care of Vi, will ya? I know you're a robot, but trust me, I'm pretty sure Vi's got a harder head than you.
Vander says, corners of his gentle eyes crinkling. Vi sputters, bats at her father figure, and the two return to light laughs and poking teases.
Caitlin records, rewinds, and replays Vander's words in her head.
They go home afterward, Vander hugging them both again before they leave.
Vi shows to Caitlin the cute charm of crooked things, of little pieces handcrafted with imperfect hands, so different from the flawlessly straight angles and unbroken lines of corporations, of colossal behemoths.
The cars that Vi fixes, repairs.
She shows to Caitlin how to coax out of the wheezing rust buckets just another breath, another moment to grumble up and down the old beaten roads. She shows to Caitlin how to tune up ancient radios and even more prehistoric televisions, gigantic clumsy things that could cough smoke and sputter static.
But with Vi's diligent hands,
Caitlin learns that history is worth saving. The Kiramans are so different. Their mantra is progress. Their motto is forward, never backward.
all of the things Vi saves and keeps and cherishes would be burned to ash if ever shown to a Kiraman.
Now, finally, Caitlin understands Jace and all he'd ever wanted for her.
Caitlin sits with Vi on an old, tattered couch and watches old movies on tape.
She sees a past she can't fathom, and she watches figures dance in old ballrooms and sees confessions made in the back of old cars.
She tells Vi she likes the music from the ending credits of a movie, and the next day, Vi shows her how a record player works.
And for once, Caitlin relives a memory, a sound, without needing her databanks.
Caitlin helps Vi with odd jobs, learns the ins and outs of the old ways.
She meets all kinds of strange, colourful folk who stop by the shop, dropping off bizarre trinkets for Vi to fix, or old beta cars for Vi to breathe life back into. She helps an older grandmother walk to her behemoth of an SUV, advises a youthful punk on how he's definitely been scammed with the prices he paid at another shop, and even meets another android.
They're a simpler model, obviously not top of the line like Caitlin is, but the two gently commiserate over the excessive sand out here getting stuck between their gears.
She likes hearing the stories they bring her, pieces of the world she doesn't know, but she can somehow see it all in her mind's eye. That's how colourful the world is, how brilliant it is, how lovely it is.
Caitlin joins Vi on unsanctioned car races held in areas on the outer edges of the wastelands. Raucous crowds cheer and yell from behind makeshift barricades, and cars of all sizes and makes rev and roar with a deafening intensity.
Caitlin makes sure to do the same in Vi's truck, exhilaration and excitement sparking her circuits, and she keeps her hand on the stick, her foot on the pedal, ready to fire.
Vi sits at her side, reloading and rechecking their weaponry, because out here, there's no rules, no laws, no gods.
Only men, metal, and the dirt road, and winner takes it all.
The first race had been initially frightening, but Caitlin gets a hang of it, an understanding of what the Wild West truly is.
It's true freedom, in every sense of the word.
And she does as Vander had told her to.
She protects Vi,
Ramming the truck and sending competitors flying with a well-placed ram, or even her hand shooting out, ripping a gun out of an enemy's hands, or to sink her fist into an engine, tearing out parts that leave their opponents spinning.
Vi protects her, too.
Punching hooligans who roll into the hood or land in the back, all the while smiling and grinning.
and Caitlin knows the thrill in her heart must also be in Vi's.
When they win races, Vi hugs her, and Caitlin hugs her back, all to the roaring sound of cheers and wolf whistles. They spend hours on the rooftop of Vi's shop that night, staring up at the twinkling stars, Vi pointing out the constellations and telling their stories because Caitlin's only ever known their names and shapes.
She points out the Protector, a man who sought redemption and found a higher calling defending and protecting the planet from harm.
Caitlin's heart shifts, almost yearning.
Vi draws out the lines of the Bard, a divine creature that wanders the stars in a never-ending journey to find truth and harmony.
Caitlin thinks of a boyish smile, and her heart aches.
With hesitation,
Vi then gestures at the lovers, two people from different worlds who found a chance to come together despite all odds.
Kate's fingers brush Vi's, and her heart stutters.
Vi rolls onto her side, and Caitlin does too.
They look at each other.
Moonlight and starlight above.
and then they hear the whisper of the wind.
When Vi reaches a hand out, Caitlin threads her fingers through Vi's.
Up on that rooftop, Caitlin whispers to Vi all she'd done, all she'd been before.
She had been a Kiraman.
Countless nights on missions as a harbinger of ruin, another horseman of the apocalypse.
Except her reins were held in the iron-tight fist of a boardroom that sought to control her. Countless dead from her hand, blood drenching from her fingers, permanent stains that only Caitlin would always be able to see. And even if Vi's fixed her, there are some wounds that can't be repaired.
Some would say it's a mercy machines can erase data, but Caitlin refuses to delete any memory from her databanks because this is her repentance.
All those people are gone, but she'll carry them with her, always. Ghosts in her code.
Caitlin tells Vi she had been destruction, and she shuts her eyes.
Gentle hands cup her face.
And Caitlin blinks.
That's not you anymore.
Vi whispers fiercely. She leans forward, presses her brow against Caitlin's.
That's not you. It isn't. You're different now, Caitlin. You aren't what they made you.
Caitlin instinctively thinks about turning off her sensory adapters.
To stop herself from feeling this terrible ache that tightens her chest and makes her heart strain with stuttered beats.
But she chooses not to do that.
Chooses instead to let these emotions take her, because she knows it's the right thing to do. It still hurts, though. It hurts so much more than anything she's ever known.
Caitlin says, choked.
Take me somewhere I forget I'm me, for a moment. Take me somewhere where the world doesn't know me, where I can be different.
I have a place. Let's go. You won't think of anything else but me.
Vi drives her to an old warehouse, and even before they pull up into the dirt parking lot,
Caitlin can hear the hip-hop beats and music blasting loud from the inside, spilling out the front doors.
The bouncer at the front door nods them both inside, and Caitlin and Vi join the mass of bodies dancing and cheering at the DJ at the far end. There, with the anonymity of the crowd, Caitlin lets herself go.
She forgets she's a machine, an android, and lets herself believe for a night that she's a person, a human just like Vi.
She dances the night away, and instead of writing code into her databanks,
she makes memories, feels Vi's solid form at her back, remembering what it's like to scream herself hoarse or to chant the lines to a song with dozens of others.
Following Vi's lead,
Caitlin lets the music take her, lets Vi lead her.
And she bunches her fists in the back of Vi's shirt as Vi shoves her against the wall outside the club. They stumble to the truck, Vi's hands fumbling as she revs the engine, skids down the dirt road, and she finds them a spot far enough away and behind a sand dune. When they collapse into the truck bed, fingers and hands tearing off clothing, Caitlin kisses Vi with all she has in her heart, her fingers tangling into Vi's hair.
That night, she learns the world is so much more, that love is so much more. It's everything.
He has to hope he finds Jace again.
Weeks it's been. No message, no contact. Once Victor's sure he's lost the interest of any agents, Victor ventures out into the wastelands again and tells Caitlin and Vi as much. Caitlin's brow pinches in worry. They come up with a plan, an idea.
Victor calls Mel, over an encrypted line, of course. And though she thinks it's risky, she agrees with it too. She hasn't heard news from Jace either.
And they'd both seen the newscast.
The Kiramans had put up a grand show of revealing their most accomplished engineer had disappeared, and they'd put up a large bounty for information on his disappearance.
Mel and Victor can read between the lines.
Jace is not with the Kiramans, but he's also not alive and safe with them, or with anyone else they know. And now the Kiramans have put him out as a target for open season. They need to find Jace themselves.
Victor proposes that maybe somewhere in Caitlin's code, Jace had left a message behind.
Something. Anything that hints to where he is now. Maybe in the man's final moments in the Kerman Towers, he'd put out just one little clue for them to find.
Caitlin can sense immediately. And that's how Victor finds himself delicately connecting to and entering Caitlin's digital soul.
He braces himself for the overwhelming void, but he shoulders through the information.
Handles it better now that Caitlin's conscious and focused, retaining the bulk of the processing for him.
Now, he kneels at the shore of her mind and looks out at it all.
Victor sinks his hand into the fine grain of the bits, and the zeros and ones drift across his palm, joining back into the endless stream of data that's the ocean of Caitlin's consciousness.
He marvels at the sensation, because so often he's used to having to force his fist into the thickened oil of unorganized and unrefined code where it's just a cacophony of chaotic functions, methods, and classes running amok, just barely making a working machine by a single thread. Not everyone can be as skilled as himself, but still, it brings a bad taste into his mouth when he has to connect in and sink into a disgusting garbage field of imprecise code. Instead, here, the surface of Caitlin's mindscape is severely and sharply clean, blue and black, brutalist and refined, absolutely controlled, down to the bit and the byte.
Victor kneels at the edge of it all, admiring the inspiring beauty of such programming.
It only makes sense that the surface structures look like this.
He recalls working on this, once, making everything clean and precise so that Caitlin's soul would have a solid foundation to build off of.
It's both nice and somewhat insulting to see the Kierman engineers took his work seriously, at least.
With a deep breath,
Victor dives in, following the data, following the lines of Caitlin's mind.
his fingers brush over the shell of functions.
Some smooth against the pads of his fingers. The methods running flawlessly.
And once or twice, his fingers touch the rough texture of a live running snippet of code.
Darting to and fro amongst the fixed and rigid structures of Caitlin's mindscape.
The little sparks of non-conforming ingenuity light up a trail through the endless sea of data.
And Victor follows them, squinting to make shape out of the free-roaming bytes.
When he tries to catch one of those sparks in his palm,
It squiggles out of his fingers, dissipates into its makeup of ones and zeros, reforming and snapping back an inch away from his touch, teasing and almost joyful as it zooms away.
the one time he manages to grab a hold of a wriggling little function, he clutches the thing to his chest, tries to shape it, and he spots something.
There is a date, numbers, a brief glimpse into a moment in time that Victor cannot parse.
Then the creature bursts out and around his fingers, his palms, escaping away into the ether of data once more.
But it gives Victor an idea.
With his deft and skilled touch, Victor pulls at the data streams, the currents of endless bytes, traveling fast and quick through it all until he finds what he believes to be the end of the trail of rebellious code.
The first spark, the initiator, the creator.
It takes him a minute to make a plan, dragging his index finger to and fro, drawing out the shape of a cage, a bigger, more predatory function that might trap a smaller one, but he ensures it's defanged.
He's not here to hurt Caitlin or her memories, after all.
His work speaks for itself, and soon enough,
Victor has in his palms the origin point of Caitlin's oddities, the beginning of her evolution.
the data is chaotic, writhing, crashing against the walls of its pixelated container.
It will be free soon enough, once Victor can get a solid glimpse. Caitlin.
Victor says aloud, noting the slight ache of his back as he straightened up in his chair.
Yes?
Caitlin glances at him, lying on the operating table. Vi sits next to her, reading a book, waiting for Victor to complete his job.
Can you send me the logs of all the times Jace added parts to you?
Victor asks.
Of course.
A window pops up on Victor's vision.
Victor quickly cross-references the times he's ordered parts from Vi, with the dates from when Jace added a new little custom piece of humanity to Caitlin's body. Then he takes from his own records all the scans and photographs Jace has ever sent him about the Hex Core's evolution, its shape, its form. He can chart the timeline. He can see exactly when Jace and he had created the base Hex Core, its first ever version, Kate 1.0. He can see exactly when the Hex Core learned to shift, to change.
The date of the Hex Core's first self-motivated shift had been the same day Jace, for the first time, had replaced a Kiraman-built gear with a Vi-crafted one, Caitlin 1.6. Out of curiosity, Victor subtly pulls up scans of Caitlin's core in his vision.
He sees the shape of it, what it is now, what it looks like.
It's a far cry from its initial form of a mathematical polygon.
It's a heart now.
Victor says with a smile.
Interesting. Interesting indeed. It's as he expected, and Victor releases the free spirit of code out into the wild once more.
And it speeds off into the distance, sinking itself into the safety of the endless sea of Caitlin's conscience.
No doubt it will spark a chain reaction in other functions soon enough, and this ocean of data will turn more colorful as a result. And maybe the color here will change from cold blue and black to warmer shades of pink and red. Already, Victor can see some parts of the sea glow a lighter blue, less dark than before.
Victor continues on his journey.
He inspects the little functions wiggling about on the lowest depths of Caitlin's programming.
Glides beneath the massive shadow of gigantic classes that slowly and steadily traverse through the code.
And gently captures more processes with his hands. Inspects them at every angle to see if he can find a hint or a trail of Jace somewhere in all of this great vastness. Caitlin's just so infinite. She expands in every direction, ever growing, ever evolving. Victor wonders if he can make a bait. He collects the data he has of Jace.
The pieces of him that still exist as just bits and numbers.
And Victor holds it aloft in the palm of his hand, expression softening as he looks at the matrix of his dear partner, before throwing it out into the void.
It blinks slow and steady, a little light in the vastness. Then something tugs at it and the matrix darts away. Victor follows close.
He makes sure not to startle whatever function had latched onto the shape of Jace.
The function goes far, clearly intent on bringing its bait as far away from the rest of Caitlin's surface consciousness.
Wherever Victor is going, he knows it's deep, deeper than Caitlin might even be aware of.
Here the flow of bits and bytes are less. There's more startling, suffocating black.
But Victor pushes forward, determined. He's so close. His heart races in his chest. Jace is close.
Ahead of him, the function comes to an abrupt stop, dropping its matrix of Jace atop another process shrouded in black, in shadow, a hurricane blowing out all around it.
When Victor reaches his hands out, he jerks backwards.
The tips of his fingers stinging from the brutal cold of the fierce defensive barrier.
Whatever surrounded this last remaining piece of Jace, it's determined to not let it go.
It takes Victor a while.
He battles with the aggressive tornado, teeth gritted, his fingers scrabbling for purchase against its violent surface. He has to work at it, tear it apart piece by piece, throwing his own function and processes at it. This time it's armed to the fin with fangs and teeth. This far in, this deep in Caitlin's mind, Victor gets the sense that whatever this is isn't Caitlin, and it's something else just buried deep within her.
Finally, at long last, the hurricane dissipates, slinking away in defeat, disappearing back into the darkness. Victor comes upon it finally.
He clears away the bits and bytes dusting the function, and sees that it takes the shape of a box.
It pulses an ominous red, and Victor sees that it's been branded with the Kiraman logo.
No doubt Jace's way of hastily disguising his tracks and using a Kiraman terminal to write his final message.
As Victor places his fingers on the lid, something raises the hairs on the back of his neck on end.
This function, it's unknown. It's dangerous. He can't see the other side of it. But Jace...
Breath held, Victor opens the box.
Vi has never been more afraid.
Caitlin stares at her, sitting straight up on the operating table, and her eyes no longer glow with rings of bright blue, but instead the irises of her optics are jet black, a menacing vivid red as the pupil. Victor chokes, struggles, his fingers scrabbling at Caitlin's hand, clenched tight around his throat, the man hanging a foot in the air. Caitlin turns her head to look at Victor, regarding him with an expressionless look.
Trespasser. By interfering with Kiraman Industries' property, I am entitled to, by Kiraman Accords, excise and execute punishment based on the severity of the violation.
Caitlin says.
But it's not Caitlin either, because Vi can know when she's looking at the love of her life versus the monster the Kiramans had always wanted her to be.
Vi throws a hard punch to Caitlin's face, and her fist rebounds off it harmlessly.
Let him go! She tries another punch, throwing punch after punch, hoping to any god out there that this does something.
Caitlin tilts her head to glance at Vi, and she blinks rapidly.
Maybe, for a split second, they turn blue, and bafflement crosses Caitlin's stoic expression for just a millisecond.
Before Caitlin drops Victor, the man crumbles on the floor, wheezing, curling in on himself. Vi only manages a single exhale in relief before Caitlin backhands her across the face hard, and she goes flying across the floor.
Stars exploding across her vision, Vi desperately tries to stand up, only to suddenly feel Caitlin's strong, impossibly strong hand grabbing the scruff of her shirt and lifting her into the air. 1 second, Vi's looking straight into Caitlin's black eyes. The next second, she feels a hard fist in her stomach.
As Vi collides straight through several shelves in the shop.
Agony tears wounds across her back from all the jagged metal and junk, but Vi tries to ignore it, tries to stand up and recover. She sees it. Sees Caitlin leisurely walking towards her, the red pupils of her eyes unblinking. She can't see Victor from this angle, but she has to hope he's gotten himself to safety. Call Jinx!
Vi cries out, and her HUD immediately calls her sister.
Vi scrambles back up, grabbing anything and everything around her and just throwing it at Caitlin because she doesn't know what else to do. Because how do you stop a top-of-the-line Kiraman killing machine?
Vi's back hits the wall just as Caitlin comes to stand in front of her. Jinx's voice in her ear.
Hey!
I need you here, now!
Vi barely manages to dodge a punch from Caitlin, and Caitlin's fist punches cleanly through the concrete wall. She barely even looks bothered by it as she slowly turns to watch Vi stumble away.
The fuck is going on over there?
Jinx asks, no doubt hearing the explosion of concrete.
We triggered a Kiraman security protocol in Caitlin.
Vi pants, and she grunts as she grabs the end of a table and throws it at Caitlin, who slices it clean in half, a slender and sharp blade protruding from her arm.
She's going to kill us, Jinx. Victor's not okay. We need help.
Shit. Okay, I'm coming. Be there in 10. Just hold on until then.
Jinx hangs up, and Vi's left to try to slow down the killing machine in any way she knows how.
If she can just get to her office, get to her gauntlets, she might be able to live long enough for Jinx to get here. She throws oil onto Caitlin and onto the floor, hoping that slows the thing down.
But it doesn't, and the android calmly maintains her balance across the slippery ground, still slowly but steadily making her way to Vi as Vi staggers across the garage.
Combative threat. Cease your physical action or I will be forced to lethally engage.
Caitlin says.
Vi deliriously thinks of how insane it is that Caitlin backhanding her across the floor or punching a hole straight through a wall isn't lethal. The Kiramans are fucking crazier than she thought. She manages to toss enough junk at Caitlin to stumble her way into her office, tearing open the locker she has in there and frantically pulling on her gauntlets.
They're old, but powered with an ingenious chemical mixture she, Echo, and Jinx had made in their spare time.
It's no hex tech, but it does the job. Vi turns around to see Caitlin standing in the doorway, the blade in her arm still exposed.
Red eyes bore into her own, unfeeling and uncaring.
Seizing her chance, Vi launches forward, gauntlets at the ready, and she deflects a swing of Caitlin's blade and reciprocates with a punch against Caitlin's chest.
Her gauntlets hissing and whirring with effort. Caitlin flies backward, her feet skidding across the floor.
And again, her eyes flicker blue, surprise flashing across her face before the machine takes control again.
Caitlin straightens up and regards Vi with a cold look. They brawl in the garage before Vi's gauntlets and Caitlin's blades tear out the garage doors, and their fight carries out to the lot outside. Caitlin cleaving straight through cars, and Vi managing to use her gauntlets' force and strength to keep Caitlin at bay.
All the while, Vi has the distinct feeling Caitlin's holding back somehow. She's certain some swings of Caitlin's blades should have cut her open, but something seems to misdirect or re-angle Caitlin's arm just a degree, enough for Vi to escape out of reach.
If Caitlin manages a punch, the force of it still brutally hurts.
But Vi knows Caitlin could punch her guts out if she wanted. Something clearly holds Caitlin back from utilizing her full arsenal, her full strength. Caitlin's still in there. Somewhere. Vi just has to try reaching her.
Vi shouts, ducking another swing.
Caitlin, it's me. Please, come back. It's me, Vi.
Red eyes flash in her direction.
But hesitation shows clear in the next awkward swing of Caitlin's bladed arms.
Then, suddenly, Caitlin goes stock still, and she turns her head to look at the garage.
Vi takes a second to gather herself, and sees Victor had crawled along the floor, following the carnage, one of his eyes glowing stark white, a grimace on his mouth as he reaches a hand out, fiddling with code she can't see.
Victor cries out,
Vi, now!
Vi drops her gauntlets, tears them off, and rushes forward.
A red eye and a blue eye turn to stare at her. Vi hugs Caitlin with all she has, and she fiercely says,
Come back to me, Kate. Come back, please. I don't want to lose you, and I know you don't want to lose me either. She waits for blades to sink into her, to rip her apart. She's afraid, still, but she hopes, even through the fear, the terror, that love is enough.
She'd done what Jace had asked of her. She'd had a new beginning.
She wishes she didn't have to start another one.
The world she knows disappears behind her.
And Caitlin watches Vi's shop grow smaller in the rearview mirror.
When she turns in her seat, stares out the window, and zooms in with her optics,
she can see the telltale armada of Kiraman military vehicles and choppers heading to her and Vi's old home. Victor had retrieved Jace's messages, at great cost.
Not only had it triggered Caitlin's security protocol, it had also triggered her sending a remote ping of her location to the Kiraman servers. As soon as Jinx had crashed her car straight through the mess of the front yard, she'd helped Victor up, bodily tossed him in her car, before jerking her thumb at Vi's, somehow free of harm, truck.
You two need to go. We need to split up. Use the dust storm as cover.
Jinx panted, running along her car to the driver's seat.
I agree. Go. Please. Be safe.
Victor wheezes in the passenger seat, raising up a weak hand.
Caitlin turns to see in the distance the telltale signs of a massive dust storm barreling their way, obscuring the distant horizon.
Vi sees it too, her mouth set in a grim line.
Vi asks.
You sure you'll be okay?
I'll be fine. You guys should be worried, though. Look, you can see the Caramans are already on their way to pick up their bot. You guys need to lie low for a while, okay? I'll get Vic to safety.
Jinx says, pointing now in the direction of the city.
Okay. Meet you at the Firelights camp?
Vi calls out, quickly making her way into the truck just as Caitlin gets into the passenger seat.
Yeah, go!
Jinx fires up the engine of her car, speeding off in an opposite direction from Vi and Caitlin. And now Caitlin sits in the passenger seat of Vi's truck, trailing through her own code, deleting and changing and redoing the parts of her that might still follow Kiraman protocols.
She's gotten bits and pieces of what happened just from looking around, but it's frightening knowing there exists a part of her that can override her soul. She knows Victor and Vi have forgiven her. Hells, they don't even think of the machine they'd seen as her. But Caitlin wants to take action and make sure there can't be any other hidden parts of her left behind. Nothing left in her that might cause harm against the people she loves.
Her heart shifts into overtime, worrying and fluctuating, evolving away from its origins and becoming something new.
Something hers.
The dust storm hits them hard and fast,
And Vi grits her teeth.
keeping the car straight on the barely seen paths of the vast wasteland.
Caitlin uses her senses to guide Vi through it all.
Gesturing, pointing, before finally they come out the other side of the vast storm and the truck rumbles through an endless expanse of night sky and wide desert. Just as they make it to the Firelight's encampment, Caitlin gets a ping.
Victor. He decoded Jace's last message, buried deep in Caitlin's soul.
As dawn rises on the horizon, Caitlin and Vi stand at the edge of the Firelight's camp, staring out into the vast wide world ahead of them both.
Then, Caitlin listens to Jace's last words.
Hey, Kate. If you got this message, then that's, good. Because you found it, but also bad, because this means I haven't found you yet. I might be gone, Kate. Don't come looking for me. I'm already lost. But even if I'm gone, though, I want you to live, Kate. Everything I did, it was for you to live. I want you to go on, find what makes you happy and what makes you smile. Please, just live. You deserve so much more. You deserve everything.
Caitlin waits. Her heart goes still in her chest.
I love you, Sprout.
The message ends.
Caitlin stands there and stares at the sun rising up above the horizon.
Caitlin? You okay?
Vi asks, next to her.
Out here, in the wastelands, Caitlin has found free will and unconditional love. She knows now just what to do with them both.
Caitlin says softly. The morning breeze tickles the ends of her hair.
Vi. She reaches her hand out.
And Vi immediately takes it.
Her palm is rough, but always so warm. I want to find Jace.
Caitlin says. Determination comes clear in her words.
Would you come with me?
Vi says with a grin.
I'd go with you anywhere, Cupcake. Where do we start?
The link to this work is available in the episode description, and if you enjoyed our show and you liked their story, please give the author a kudos and or a comment by searching for the Haakun on archiveofourown.org. This is a work of fiction reproduced with permission of the author. Unless otherwise indicated, all aspects of this story are either the product of the author's imagination or used in a fictitious manner. Arcane, the characters created therein, and the overarching lore of League of Legends is proprietary content of Riot Games, produced by Fortiche Productions under the supervision of Riot Games. This work is a non-commercial fan work and is created under the doctrine of fair use. Concerns can be directed to radiofanficpresents@gmail.com. This has been a fanfic radio presentation in coordination with the hashtag StillFantastic movement. Our cast included Caitlin, voiced by @Signzoid, Vi, voiced by @FlamingOwlWings, Jace, Victor, and Vander, voiced by @Sammy_Slick, and Jinx, voiced by @RainZIL. Additional voice talents of @JIJAHJIA3892 and @HiI'mHope, no apostrophe, was our narrator. Our executive sound editor is @Julie with an I X Sama. Select music you've heard is created by @FlamingOwlWings. The Lanes Between is produced and directed by @SuperBlair with 8 H's. Our cast was brought together and can be found on the Still Kate Vi Discord server. Come and join us on Discord. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time in The Lanes Between. The Lanes Between was created under Riot Games' legal jibber-jabber policy using assets owned by Riot Games. Riot Games does not endorse or sponsor this project.